Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Shandy here. How are we all? I hope everybody is doing well. On F1 2020, the Codemasters game today, as you can see, we are about to jump into a one-shot qualifying session at Australia online in the multiplayer. So, yep, uploading 2 races today, both of which pretty entertaining, so stick with us. There's been plenty happening. We're not necessarily fighting up the upper echelons of the grid, but nevertheless there's some great scraps in there and some entertainment bits going on. So as you can see, we have jumped into Australia. We're looking at nice clear, more or less clear weather all weekend, no rain, so we can just stick with our normal medium sort of base setup around this street circuit and see what we can manage in qualifying first of all, and then see how we do in the race as we tick down to go into the opening qualifying lap. So across the line, nice early start. We're going into the right hander, dropping down into 4th gear, no particular problems. Nice and tight on that inside curb as you hit the DRS. Make sure you keep one wheel on the black stuff at all times to avoid getting a track limit warning as we drop down into 2nd gear to go around the tight right hander and ease it round in 3rd. So we get on the power, we come a little bit wide through the right hander there, maybe not the best. Dropping down the gears into 3rd as we take the next right hander. And we take the long right hand as we come up to the chicane. Can be tricky, this chicane, just to get the tyre in the right place. You see they're a little bit narrow, but we managed to avoid any sort of issues in regards to track limits. And now we come up to the fast sweeping S's. We drop down into 6th gear. Not the neatest attempt at going round there, but nevertheless we got round in one piece. No corners being cut, no spin. It's easy to spin there if you get on the power too late on the curb. So so far not the tidiest lap in the world, but at the same time as we drop down into 1st gear there to try and get some extra rotation after going a bit wide and come a little bit too narrow on the apex there down the straight. But yeah, as I say, not my best lap, not my worst. Let's see where it has us on the grid. Probably somewhere in the middle, I would imagine. I think there's about 17 people in this. And as you can see, a couple of disqualifications. We're 10th, so as predicted, somewhere in the middle of the pack. As I say, I think there's around 17, 18 drivers in here today. So getting close to our max XP. A couple of drivers disqualified. I think it's 15 actually. So, you know, maybe not slap bang in the middle. Not my best lap, but nevertheless, you know, it's first race of the day, so let's just see how we get on. Sometimes there can just be all kinds of issues that occur in front of your wing, in which case you've got to find your way through, and if you can do that, then you can go from pretty much anywhere on the grid to potentially a race winning position. You just need things to sort of fall your way, and you need to avoid the chaos. So that's sort of the plan. From what I remember, I haven't really played 2020's game online round Australia. What I do remember from last year online is it can be a rather hectic place to be in the first couple of corners, especially if you're somewhere in the middle of the pack. So, and as you can see, we've got more drivers who have joined in post qualifying, so there's plenty behind and plenty in front. Basically there is danger everywhere. We are in the eye of the storm as we have 5 red lights and they're out and we are off, and we get a better start than Pascal 10G in front of us. So now we just got to try and find some room going into this first corner. We come off the power, easing it through, and as you can see, it's all a bit helter-skelter in front of me, kicking off a little bit, but everyone's managed to keep the car facing more or less the right direction, I think. And we go down into the first. Oh, when we dive down the inside there, it looked like we we're going to go into the back of him, and actually we've ended up making a move on about 2 or 3 cars. How have we done that? Excellent stuff, really, really good. I thought I just broke too late, but I chucked it on the inside and yeah, found my way past a few cars. We still got them on our back end as we go diving down the inside. He's got caught on the curb there. Dexley, oh, he's still causing problems in front. It's like fucking pinball up there. And yeah, that has really hindered us. We were going quite nicely there, and he just absolutely dive bombed it up the inside. He couldn't get the car slowed down in time, got himself on the fucking curb, and span right into me. So not particularly happy about that, especially since I've got a small amount of damage as we go side by side with Taylor. And he looks down the inside, and we just decided to give him the room there. There's not enough room for two cars down there. It's only going to end badly. But yeah, to have a bit of damage to the front of that left wing, you know, really, really irritating. And to get held up so much, I think probably about 5 or 6 cars just flew past us whilst we were stuck in the side of the guy. So, not great driving from Dexler. But then we are in a low rated lobby for safety, so you know you have to kind of half expect these kamikaze moves from drivers. As we can see there that Ginger Nuts, I think it is, was just not facing the right direction. Yeah, so you know it really is a difficult to avoid drivers when they're doing really silly things like that. I mean, there was just no way he was ever going to get that car slowed down in time, and then to try and get on the power quickly again on that curb with his wheels on the grass. It's just, you know, you kind of expect better. I'm not saying I don't make mistakes. I make fucking plenty. There's been times when I've genuinely not meant to be over aggressive, and my fingers slipped, or I've just made a mistake, or missed my braking point. Or, you know, it can happen. But sometimes you just think to yourself, well, what were you thinking to ever think that would work? No, Paul, as we can see there, Ofama himself doing exactly what I mentioned that is very much possible when we were qualifying. He got on the power too late on the curb there, coming out of the S's, and has managed to find himself slammed into the barrier. Can't knock the guy. I've done it myself. I've done it myself on the final lap in first place on the last game. So with about a 10-second lead and no need to put any pressure on myself, and in an attempt to set a quick lap, I've done exactly what we just see the chap there do. So my condolences. I feel you, buddy. Been there, seen it, done it, and you know, I hope it's not too painful for you. I hope you learnt your lesson. Don't get too wide on the S's, and if you do, just be patient before you get back on the power. Make sure you're back off that curb before you put anything on the throttle. You'd rather lose half a second or a second because you're coasting than trying to get on the power and end up losing 10-15 seconds on a front wing. It just makes sense, people. You know, take it from me, as we cut the corner there, and we're starting to get a little bit edgy about these track warnings. We're on lap 3 now, and we've had a few, so not sure how many I'll need to get until I get a penalty, but nevertheless I don't want one. So we really need to sort of up our driver rating in terms of, not so much in terms of our ability, that's okay, high silver, low gold, flitting between those, I'm happy with that, but being down in sort of C, D safety ratings. On the last game I was generally around B and A lot of the time, so this is unusual, and I think the next lot of videos is simply going to have to be about raising that safety rating, because I can't compete in these lobbies forever. I shouldn't be competing in these lobbies. I'm a fairly safe driver. I've been in a bit of bad form, made a few mistakes, and been a bit unlucky, and ended up just. It's like once you start sliding down the ratings, it's very much a slippery slope. It's difficult to get back up, especially if you're still trying to be competitive, because you know, the more aggressive people that you're around, the more likely you are to make contact, the more likely you are for your rating to go down. Whereas the higher you are, the more sensible people are, and then as long as you're driving reasonably sensibly as well, you shouldn't have too many problems. But as you can see here, as we come at the last sort of half of lap 4, we are beginning to catch Taylor just a little bit, as they're scrapping a little bit in front of us, although I'm just not quite sure we've got the pace to really get involved with these guys. It would take sort of maybe a few mistakes or a big mistake from somebody for us to get in the mix. But we're in 9th place, so we've gained a position from where we qualified, which isn't exactly particularly impressive or spectacular, but it is better than a kick in the bollocks, so we'll take it. And as you can see, Taylor there slowing down, and it looks as though TT Icon has is either away from keyboard or controller, more to the point, or he's been disqualified because he's hit too many people and the AI has just taken over. I'm not quite sure. Either way, he's ghosted out. He might have a bad connection. Either way, he's ghosted out, so we carry on without getting held up by him. And you can see we're catching Taylor there, but in our ambition to get a little bit closer to him, we've got... Yeah, fair enough, Jeff. I know. I was, and then how do I respond? By going and cutting a corner on the very next opportunity. But yeah, let's try to get in too early to that one in an attempt to desperately try and put some pressure on Taylor on this last lap, but not going to happen. So now it's just a case of really just playing it safe to the end of the race now, rather than just not picking up a penalty. To be fair, that's got to be the goal going from now on. And yeah, fairly eventful race. A little bit quieter the last couple of laps, but not too bad a way to start. So, well, we've got a lot of pressure on us here from Spooky Natty. Dread has really caught us, so just got to remain composed these last couple of corners, as we do, and we make sure that we're able to get on the power early onto the straight. Make sure that we're not going to be done in a drag race, ERS, rich mix, and yeah, with plenty of time to spare. So yeah, as mentioned, not a too bad a start. We have managed 8th place from 10th, so we've gone a couple of positions up as we fly past in our Union Jack style livery. But yeah, not too bad a way to start, but hopefully, you know, we can start to climb the driver ratings in terms of the safety. I mean, we got a few warnings there. I think I got a warning for Matey spinning right in front of me and me driving into him. There was really nothing I could do about that. This is the game will just give you a warning for contact if you make any contact with anybody. It doesn't matter whether you had absolutely any control over the situation, but it is what it is. So that's why it's a case of when you're trying to get your driver rating up, we're just going to have to avoid other cars like the plague. We're going to have to take social distancing to the extreme. We've got no masks, we've got no protection whatsoever, so we're just going to have to stay well out of everybody's way. But as I was in the mood, I thought we may as well make this the last race in which I'm just going to go for it. I'm not really going to take the safety. I mean, I'm fairly sensible when I'm driving anyway. I don't tend to jump into gaps I'm not going to get through, I should say. But as you can see, it says one race to demotion. I thought, fuck it, let's just go for it. Let's just have a little bit of fun. As you'll see short in a moment anyway, it's a track that I'm a particular fan of. I do like France. I tend to have a great time when I race there in career mode, both last year and this year on the game. So big fan of the track. Works for me. It's also got plenty of runoff areas as well, which helps if you are trying to avoid other motorists on the track. So yeah, we will dive into that in just a moment. So let's see what we can do in qualifying over the one lap here at Paul Ricard. We'll dive into a fairly quick setup is what you'll see when we get into this. Obviously there's a lot of there's a couple of very long straights here in France. It's a very quick full throttle track anyway, so as we dive into the setup, we will. I was tempted to go for absolute maximum top speed, but I thought I'd just err on the side of a little bit of caution and go for preset 4 as we jump into the lap. I thought that's a decent sort of balance, because we do have some sweeping corners where the downforce is required, and I don't want to compromise that too much purely for straight line speeds. So we get ourselves underway, and as we come into the first long chicane down into 4th gear, turned onto the inside under, turned in too early and invalidated my lap time straight away. So we'll just fuck that off, shall we? That's irritating. Feel like I could have got somewhere decent on the grip. I did on the grid if I'd have completed my lap. I did actually complete my lap. I can't fucking talk. I did actually complete my lap, but I didn't really push it, and it was just a case of having something to do rather than sit there wait for everybody else to finish their lap. So yep, carried on, but I won't make you guys watch that. We'll dive straight into the race. We will be, I mean, come on, we couldn't have really got disqualified any earlier, to be fair. It was the second corner, so I imagine we'll be starting right at the very back of the grid. And yep, one car behind us, so we've got one person that joined in late, and they have jumped in behind us, and going to be quite tricky to sort of get to the front here, because as I say, there's plenty of runoff area and whatnot. You won't see as many outright big accidents occur, so you're not going to get as many free places to jump through the carnage. You will have to work for your overtakes, which makes the game a lot of fun, but it also means that really starting this far back, that the podium is very likely out of reach, as we have 5 red lights and they're out. We're off again. We get a better start than Pascal. 10GU starts in front of us, and Ginger Nuts, as we can see, there's a few cars wide there on the track, and we just want to be careful. We just ease off of the accelerator and just let them crack on in front of me. Really, I'm not going to go and get involved in that, and that's why, unfortunately, the car that got spun round there had ghosted. Otherwise, we'd have had a very similar situation to what we just had in Australia. And it's still kicking off in front of me. There's still people coming wide, and we just have to really take avoiding action and turn out of the corner to try and avoid Monarch King. He's a little bit all over the place, but he's also laggy. And as you know, we trust laggy players as much as we trust Michael Barrymore at a swimming pool. So, you know, we just got to be careful here. I don't care if he's a monarch, and I don't care if he's part of the royal family and a king. I just do not want to drive into him as he goes a little bit wide, and so we have to take avoiding action, and we pick up a 2-second time penalty, which I can't help but feel is a little bit harsh. We really didn't have anywhere to go. We get bashed out of the corner by Speedy Natty Dread. He really was taking no prisoners there. He was just playing fucking bumper carts. He just came into the side of me. I left him plenty of room. It wasn't like I'd squeezed him to the apex. He had probably about 2 car widths of room there. And nevertheless, he just thought he'd come and give me a bump anyways. We're still having a bit of a scrap here with Banks on the inside, and he taps my backside. And I'm not sure if he's still there. Yes, he is, and it's a little bit crowded as we come out. He's just dropped off there, Banks, but we get a good run out of the corner, and we dive down the inside of 2 people, including Monarch King and Spooky Natty Dread, 2 people that have caused me a few issues so far in this race already, and we have done them both and got ourselves away. We do exceed the track limits on the right hand side corner of the chicane, but we'll take that because it's given us a little bit of breathing space. And now we look at the back of Ginger Nuts. But yeah, I was a little bit irritated by that time penalty, because I had just peeled to the right in a desperate attempt to avoid Monarch King, who was all over the place and all over the track. I had no idea where he was going next. I didn't really gain any time at all. If anything, I lost time. So to get given a 2-second fine penalty for basically trying to avoid somebody else's erratic driving and avoid an accident and not gain any time out of it and still get the penalty, you know, it's just pretty frustrating, really. But you know, we've still got a race on here. We're in P10 again, so we've made up some places. I was really happy with that double overtake that we just done on Monarch and Spotty Natty Dread. We got a great exit out of the final corner, and then just flew past them down the straight and found the space and made it stick. So that was a rather enjoyable double pass. That's 2 double passes in 2 races now. So when it comes to being competitive and our actual racecraft and race pace, we seem to be okay, as Gabriel Costa goes across the track, not looking too comfortable, and he's side by side with Ginger Nuggets as we slow down just before we get to Ginger Nuggets. He's just pushed him wide there, Gabriel Costa. He's given him a little bump and pushed Ginger Nuggets off of the track, and as a result Ginger Nuggets has then fallen behind me as we turn in too late, and Ginger Nuggets smashes me up the backside. I mean, again, I gave him plenty of room on the inside. I'd brake so late that there was loads of room up the inside to take the actual racing line, and he's just gone in straight into the back of me. I don't know if he's just followed me and accidentally made that mistake as we come out, and we've got some good pace here, and we're going to have the DRS on Gabriel Costa. Put it into Rich Mix, just a little bit of overtake used, not a lot, don't really need to, and it's a fairly straightforward overtake down that first long straight of the lap. And now it's a case of, can we get away and leave these two behind? They were battling a fair amount before I caught up. I managed to do them both. So let's hope those two can continue their scrap, and in which case that will give us the chance to get away, as we rather foolishly pick up a track limit warning there. That was just a little bit too casual in that corner and ended up going too wide down the straight. It's completely avoidable had I just paid a little bit more attention and been a little bit more careful, so that's a little bit frustrating, but we've already got ourselves a 2-second time penalty for cutting corners anyway, so you know, we don't want to be adding to that whatsoever. So we find ourselves in 8th place, and as Jeff has kindly mentioned there, we are 2.4 seconds behind Nunda TMG, and then we've also got Pascal and Risotto Impavado. Is that where you make up some sort of risotto? I don't know. Either way, those two look like they were having a little bit of a scrap in front of me, as you can see both on the screen and by the timings, as they swap places a few times, but seems to have settled down a little bit more now as they go neck and neck. Actually, I say that, and they couldn't be any closer, certainly on a Delta. They're a little bit too far in front for me to actually get a good view of what's going on, being almost 2.5 seconds in front, but you could see on the Delta there that they were swapping places, and they were very tight, as it looks like Nunda has got the advantage and got himself away somewhat. So can we catch the chef who improvises his risottos? Let's find out. We're on lap 4. We're at the end of lap 4, I hasten to add, actually, so realistically we've got about a lap to try and make up a 2-second gap. Now that seems at this stage like a lot. It depends though, because these three in front of me are still having a good old scrap, and they're still slowing each other down, and as you can see by the Delta, or they were 2 seconds ahead 3 corners ago, now it's 1.5, so we are catching them because they are scrapping with each other and slowing each other down. So if they can continue to do this into this first sector, you know, potentially if we can take it well, we could be in a DRS zone by the time we get out of it. But to be perfectly honest, it looks as though the three in front may have just found a little bit of room from each other, and they have, as we get a little bit closer and get a better view, and then they're not going to be so punchy with each other, in which case means they'll be taking their racing lines and they'll be driving quicker, which is going to make it more difficult for me to catch, as that 1.5 second gap to Risotto has more or less stuck. It is coming down this straight as we invest in some Rich Mix and some overtake mode, but we've not got an awful lot of that left as we pick up one more track warning. Hopefully we won't get any more after that, but yeah, despite managing to bring that down to half a second, I'm not sure we're going to be close enough, although he's very, very slow here, Risotto, and you know, maybe in this final sector, as now we find ourselves right on his gearbox. We've made up basically 1.5 seconds, almost 2 seconds in the space of a lap, so I'm not sure if he's got some damage from scrapping with those guys. He's suffering understeer, which suggests that he might have done, as we try to find some space on the inside, but he squeezes us out. He won't let us back onto the track. We get a warning and he hits our back tyre, trying to spin us round, and we're stuck. We can't get away. We couldn't turn out of that, and he's gone all the way around the outside, and somehow he's got the better traction, giving us a little knock on the way through, and as a result has managed to grasp onto 5th place. I'm not quite sure what the AI was up to there, changing gears and braking everything after the race had stopped, but what a way to finish the race. That was really, really tight. That was a good scrap, a lot of contact, unfortunately. Maybe not as clean as it could have been. He didn't really want to leave me any space. I picked up a track limit warning purely because, well, I couldn't get back onto the track. He just forced me off it, and there was no way for me to get back on. but fortunately no penalties or anything picked up from that, so we'll just have to let it go. And just out of that final corner, yep, he just caught me. I couldn't get the car turned. He's gone the long way around, got the traction down quicker, and yeah, managed to cross the line ahead of me. Pascal gets driver of the day, so fair play to him. And yeah, that was quite a lot of fun, to be honest. It may not be the best result in the world, and again, we made some contact. We're not going to get a pat on the back from the safety rating for that, but nevertheless, you know, it's about having fun in it, and it's about being entertaining and whatnot. So I think across the two races, I've certainly enjoyed them, had a bit of fun, not too many frustrations, although there is some minor ones, there always will be. But yeah, pretty happy with that. As you can see, we're stuck with silver. We've gone down, and for the first time, we are safety rating D. So our next couple of races will undoubtedly be about trying to improve that. So make sure you hit subscribe and get notified. I will be uploading that video in the next day or two, and we'll have a little look at how we can update our driving rating. But for now, people, once again, thank you very much for your time. I've been Captain Shandy. Take it easy.